Well, here I am, doing another live stream. Talk about fun, right? Don't have a lot of good reasons for today's live stream. I have a lot of stuff that I could be doing, but instead I'm sick, so that's where I'm at right now. So I can't really do any video stuff for either Willow, or anything like that. So just gonna kind of hang out today for a little bit, lay low, drink coffee, stay in my PJs, so on and so forth. But, ooh, sorry if I sniffle a lot today. It's gonna be kind of gross, I'm sure. And it's not gonna be a long one. My wife's almost home, so just wanted to hang out and let you know that I am working on getting stuff ready for Observe. It's just going slow. Been very busy and then being sick. But yeah. How are you all doing today? All four of you. Well, let's see here. This is Sherlock? Interview with that body language expert. Okay, so this mug. I don't know if this is what you're talking about. This is the Observe mug, Mark One. I'm going to be doing some updates to it later on. Am I going to be doing an interview with that body language expert? I'm waiting on some response for him, and since he's like actually got stuff that he has to do. Like he legitimately has things that he's supposed to do. I'm not able to just like be like, hey, let's do that. So I'm working on it. But for now, that's been put on hold, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, I haven't been able to really push anything forward with it much either. So that's kind of where that's at. Just back from school. Cool, cool. Don't you know Sherlock? I do not know Sherlock since he is fake. Can I suggest any book? Trying to think of a good book to suggest. Mind Reader by Leor Suchard is going to be good. I enjoyed it. Got a few books in here. One by Mark Bowden. Another one by Mark. Oh, what's his last name? Salem, I believe. Mark Salem is another one. I'm reading through Darren Brown's Trick of the Mind. It's turning out pretty well as well. Those are all good ones. Those are all specifically closer to mentalism more so than body language or like the Sherlockian logic kind of stuff. I have not read the 48 Laws of Power yet. It's I actually haven't even been made aware of what it is yet, so I can't even give an idea of what I think about it. But eventually, I'll probably end up getting around to it. Where I'm assuming that's where do I live? I live in Montana, in the United States. It's pretty cool. Literally, actually, today it was nice and cool. I'm excited. Fall's my favorite time of year by so many leaps and bounds over everything else. So it's cool that it's getting into my favorite time of year. Let's see here. I'm gonna take a look at the comments here. Just a moment. I used to live in Bozeman. I don't live there anymore. I had to move because Bozeman was getting very, very, very expensive for where we were living. It was in a basement and it was costing just outrageous amounts of money. So we have since moved to an adjacent city. We're in Billings now, which is the biggest city in Montana. But it's not my favorite city. There's not a lot here as far as like this kind of stuff, like for videography, there's almost nothing. For YouTube, there is nothing. I am quite certain that I'm the only YouTuber in Billings, but yeah. So eventually we'll move. We're not sure where yet, but we'll move eventually. For now, we're just gonna stay here and not move again. But yeah. So, how many of you are in school, either high school or college? And then, so you lived in Bozeman for a while and did dishwashing. That's kind of cool. I used to be a dishwasher at a coffee shop, and yes, I do some skiing. I snowboard more, but I skied for ages and ages and ages. So, Will, you just started high school. Good luck. That's a huge time in your life to be able to start establishing some emotional trends for yourself. So try to keep it pretty level. Um, I didn't. I didn't do high school real well. I was pretty all over the place, but it was very. It's going to be extremely crucial in development for you, and and college as well. Um, College was big. I don't know. I don't miss college at all. I don't miss classrooms. I hate classrooms all the way around. Um, but yeah, and then if you're in neither, which one are you in? Or what are you in? Not which one. You just said neither. Foreign politics. Interesting. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I am done with college. Never got a degree. Went to 4 years, but never got a degree. And I stopped going to college because I didn't want to go deep into debt to get a degree, especially now since I'm seeing a lot of evidence of people who have degrees and they're not able to do anything with them because they're becoming more of a commodity. And then, which is the best observational trick? Observe everything that you can. It doesn't matter. And don't go into too much detail on focusing on just one small little thing because inevitably you'll end up missing out on something else as well. So always just observe everything around, um, where you're at, how many people are there, what they're wearing, general background if possible, so on and so forth. Just gather as much information as you can, and it'll go pretty well for you. And yeah, no, let's see here. My English is not terribly professional. Don't worry about your English. It's okay. A lot of people's aren't very professional here. And then, why? Yeah, I didn't graduate, and I started with the intention of going into business and marketing, which I still enjoy somewhat. Um, but then I switched it over to a Bachelor of Arts with a specific focus in what was it? I don't remember what it was. It was a Bachelor of Arts. Um, and then I don't know, just lost interest in it. It started getting to where I was, like I said, going to go into debt. So I decided not to go into debt for that because I know too many people whose lives have been ruined because of their college debt, and they're never going to make a job that will pay off that debt. So they just ruined their lives. So I wasn't going to do that. So if I go back to college, I'm either going to go back in and do film school just so I can have that degree, or I'll do something related to observe. You were a private investigator beforehand. That's very, very cool. I'm looking into getting my private eye license here, but it's the issue is that I have to spend a certain amount of hours as just an intern, which is cool. Like that's cool, and I understand why. But I don't have the time to be able to not dedicate that towards working or doing stuff for the channel. So until I can get the channel going full time, or at least make it to where it's going part time, to where I could cut back on my normal job, then I'm not going to be able to start dedicating stuff towards that. Um, which I don't know. I don't know when that'll happen. There's a few things coming up that I hope to be able to help push that forward a little bit with. But um, yeah, I'm just really not sure here. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Okay, so something just real quick here. This is all going through my phone, so I'm having trouble um, reading the comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up on my laptop, and so I'll read the comments through my laptop and just keep up that way, because I would love to be able to actually interact with you and not be like, all right, so I've got 0.2 seconds to be able to read these comments before it disappears again. So just a little moment here. Switching over. So while I'm switching over here, fun thing, on my other channel, which if you haven't gone over there yet, it's under my name, Logan Portnier. It's also linked through my channel. That's where I do a lot of videography and cinematography and everything else, vlogs and gameplays, stuff like that, things that I would like to, just do on my free time outside of the Observe stuff. I created a video over there for my brother-in-law. He loves to fly fish, so I made a fly fishing video. And I put it up, and usually, like, since it's a super small channel, usually there are, I don't know, you get maybe like 20 views on a video. Right now that one's at like 600 and something in a few days, because apparently this website called Orvis is using my video somewhere. So I don't know how that how that's gonna work out, but it's fun. So yeah, if you ever want to hop over there and check out that other channel, that'll be pretty cool. Can you observe some quality or anything according to their comments? Are you saying in the YouTube comments, or just like how they're talking in general? Because there's a little bit you can learn from each, but without knowing which one you're talking about, it's a little hard to work with. Have you read the Dictionary Body Language from Joe Navarro? Not yet. I want to be able to get my hands on it, but right now I've got my hands on so many books, and I've like got my fingers into each of them, that if I went ahead and brought that in as well, then I would end up spreading myself a little bit too thin. I'm already borderline spreading myself too thin on stuff, so I don't want to be like, yes, I have added more to my too thin spreading. With how they're talking, to an extent, yes, you can tell. Obviously, region through accents, things like that. You can tell maybe by listening to them, like their political views, maybe their religious views. You could tell how extroverted or introverted they are by how little or much they're talking in whatever given space they're in. All things considered into context, you can't just observe like how much they're talking and be like, oh, well, they're talking a lot, so they're obviously extroverted, because they might just be comfortable in where they're at with the few people that they're with. So everything is pretty intertwined with each other, so you have to, and I've always hammered this home here on Observe, you have to consider context. Like, if you don't consider the context of everything that you're observing, then you're going to end up misinterpreting terribly. So never take one cue, whether that's verbal or nonverbal, but never take one little sentence, one little comment or anything like that and say, okay, because they said this definitely means that that's what they're doing. So that's just something that I always keep in mind and always encourage people to keep in mind, because it can really do some damage. And back years ago, I used to do more of those just like flash jump to conclusion reading kind of thing where you see one or two things and you're like, well, it's there, and it can do some damage because there's always more information. So observe and keep quiet while observing. Um, and the saying goes that a wise man is quiet and a fool is loud, and even a fool can be considered a wise man if he stays quiet. So keep quiet while observing, and then after you've gained enough information, then go ahead and speak your mind or make your conclusions from there. Willow says, I just started the Ellipsis training planner. It's just like the structured format for learning how to deduce. That's very, very cool. I really have to get through that book too. That's another one that I have my fingers in, and there's just so much that's going on. And I have to get, okay, so I have the collaboration with the body language expert. I have the collaboration with Jordan that him and I have been wanting to do. I have a collaboration with another gal who does body language stuff sometimes on her channel that I have to do. I have another collaboration with a larger YouTuber as well that I've got to do. I've got to do the one with Chase Hughes. And then that's just the collaborations. I still have to do the Ring video. I have to continue the Logan Paul video. And then there's the other ones that are just the regular program. There's so much that I have to do, and I'm just running out of time. So thank you for being patient with me. Just being sick is not what I wanted to do, but I'm going to try to do these live streams and stuff as I work on these other things so that you don't feel disconnected from Observe, and I don't feel like I'm losing interest in the channel and so on and so forth. You're on week 2 and you're already seeing much more. That's awesome. Evening to you as well. I am drinking a French press coffee with Ethiopia beans, which, if you would like, I would love to be able to go on a long rant or a long talk about what different coffees taste good, how, and so on and so forth, because I love coffee. Just stopping by to say hi. I gotta go again, sadly. Get better soon, Logan. Bye. Thanks for stopping in briefly. It was nice to see you here briefly, and I hope to get better soon. This is day 3, and I had to go to work yesterday with it, and it was nasty, but that's the way it works. What do you do when efforts are not working? I am extremely stubborn, and I usually will get, okay, so this is the way it works. I will work myself into the ground until I get sick, and then I'll crash for a bit, and then I'll get going. So that's how it'll go. I don't like sitting and doing nothing. Even sitting and watching a TV show is difficult for me to just sit and do, so I usually am doing something along with. The other option that happens is that I will continue and I'll put out a lot of effort, and then I'll get burnt out or I'll get discouraged by it, and I'll take a little break, and I will watch various videos, I will read various books or watch various movies, TV shows, things like that, to gain inspiration back, and then I don't know, I just keep going back in, and so that I'm very, very passionate about the things that I do, and that helps keep me going a lot. And don't worry about the time schedule, it's all fine. Glad it's all good, but with the YouTube thing, if you don't continually pump out just tons of content, then you start slipping in your popularity, and it's a little hard to work with. So I feel bad, and I also want to be able to not slip through YouTube's analytics, especially now since I'm just slowly starting to gain some traction. Which, by the way, if you're new here and you've subscribed recently, thank you. It's been very, very cool to see more people coming on. 13,000 people is a lot. It's just a lot of people. That's a lot of people to think about, and I really do appreciate that, and it's very cool. So thank you. And if you've been here for a while, that's crazy. I don't know. There's some of you that have been around for almost since the beginning of the channel, and that's that's something else. So thank you. Um, will you be attending the Ben Cardle online training? I I don't. And, oh, real quick. Hi, by the way, to Hall Country. And then also, will I be attending it? I don't know. Excuse me, that was gross. I might. Um, right now, finances is what I have to consider. Because, like, me and my wife are going on vacation to her family's house for, oh, like a week and a half. So, everything that, like, costs money, we're like, well, do we really need to do that or do we not need to do that? So, that's kind of where we're at with that. So, I don't know. Coffee is good for mouth cancer. Yeah, there's also been studies that said that bread is good for cancer too. So I continue to drink coffee and enjoy it a lot. But um, yeah, so let's see here. Living in America is costly. Areas are. Montana is actually surprisingly expensive um, for how rural it is. And I think the reason for that is because of the fact that it's very, very pretty in a lot of areas of Montana. So it does. It just raises the value of the land that you get and so on and so forth. So like where I'm at in Billings, it's not as expensive. Um, but where I was at in Bozeman, for instance, it was extraordinarily beautiful, very fun, and very, very expensive. Um, but no, it's not the most expensive place, but there are some places in America here that are just ridiculously expensive for stuff. But as far as the crossover, like the price differences between the two, um, there's definitely a lot of comparisons as far as like price per dollar here and price per pound in like Europe and things like that. So your English teacher on the first week of school mentioned the Memory Palace, and I kind of freaked out because you know all about it. That's very cool. That sounds pretty cool. What are my idols, and whom you look forward to? Okay. I don't really have a lot of. I wouldn't call them idols. I have some role models that I like. Some for their like their who they are as a person is very, very inspirational to me, and then there are some that I appreciate because of how good they are in like a field of mentalism or something like that. Um, and it's difficult for me to really pin names on them because a lot of it I don't like looking up to people because I used to like I don't know do it very, very, very heavily and just like tailor everything around them, and um, wasn't the best way of going about things. So I try to I'm swinging it back to the other direction and hopefully not swinging it too far. But like for instance, in mentalism, Darren Brown is by far the most brilliant mentalist that I have found. Uh, and then Lior Suchard is coming up in there, and I just recently discovered Lior. Um, but they're excellent mentalist entertainers. Um, but yeah, those are going to be the two. I try not to do anybody who's fictitious because um, there's just a huge flaw in that logic to tailor yourself over after somebody who was made up. So I abstain from that. When working with body language, do you work with psychology as well? Enormously so. So in my book that I'm writing, um, I go through like in the body language section. There's multiple sections in the body language section specifically. I go through and I say what the tell is in relation to the emotion that it's tied to, and then I explain the why behind it, the psychological why and the physical why, to be able to kind of like fill out everything that you can about that specific tell. So like, for instance, part of what I'm doing um, is like a section that I just finished was on the nonverbal tells of breathing and how breath, like your breathing and your rate of breathing and depth and so on and so forth, ties to each individual emotion, and then why that is, why that ties into our psychological mindset, and why that and how that manifests out physically for us. So that's kind of what I'm like talking about there. So, have you any vices on the topic of coffee? Many that take up deductive arms in the name of Sherlock Holmes have considered smoking pipe, for example. I smoke pipe. Um, it's it's so far from addicting, um, because everybody who isn't familiar with it, they automatically think, okay, so you're smoking pipe, so that's going to be the same as smoking cigarettes, for instance, and the cigarettes are like terrible health issues. So pipe, since it has tobacco in it, has to be the same as that, and so on and so forth. And while you can smoke enough of like a tobacco pipe to really to get to the level of cigarettes, what makes cigarettes highly addictive are the chemicals and the tars that are in it, or highly not addictive, but like destructive to your health are the chemicals and the tars and things like that. Pipe is is so far away from that that it doesn't really compare too well. Which I won't go into all the stuff of it, but there's definitely like things that you can do if you smoke a pipe. It's not like you can go out for a quick fix of a pipe. It's there's a process to it. There's a big process to it, so it's a very slow thing. So nobody really goes out for a quick fix of a pipe. Um, and then also like through various just dental care stuff, you can really bypass a lot of the health hazards of it, of which there aren't too many. So let's see here. Emotionally neglected childhood. No, I was quite um, cared for as a child. Um, my parents were very good to me. My dad worked his butt off to make sure that we had everything that we could ask for or need, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom to make sure that my sister and I had everything that we could want. Um, so I can't speak highly enough of my parents for the work that they put towards me and the sacrifices that I know both of them had to make. Um, so it's no, I wasn't emotionally neglected as a kid. Have you ever thought about going to the dark side or becoming like Moriarty? No, it's not. I don't know. It's not worth my energy. I know I've been around and I've seen enough to know that I'm not so super special that me using the talents or the skills that I've accrued over the years for myself is worth anything in the advancements of everything, so to speak. So like I don't look at criminals with a lot of respect because they're often, so often, extremely prideful in what they do, um, and self-centered. And anybody who is so self-centered that they will harm people around them to better themselves and themselves only are viewing life in an extremely narrow and shortened um, field of view, to where all they can see is their own life. And the fact is that eventually they're going to die, and then all the bad they did stuck around, and it is now no longer benefiting anyone because they're dead. So no, I don't consider it, because I consider that to be a much more foolish route. all morals set aside. But yeah, are you good with deducing cigarettes? That's something that's on one of my study lists. Is that I want to be able to go and start really collecting information around smokers. So like what their hands look like, how their skin begins to develop, hair, like physical appearance, and then that's just with the smoker themselves. Also, I want to be able to look at like different types of cigarettes, how they burn, and the ashes they leave to be able to understand more, because eventually there might be a time that I have to be able to figure out something by the type of ash that's left, and if I know that it's a cheap quality from this area, then that might allow me to narrow down from what area something was purchased, and so on and so forth. What's my book about? So observe. That's what it's just going to be called. Observe. I'm not adding any other subtitle. It's just observe. Um, it's going to be centered around everything that I wish that I had known before I started this channel, um, or when I started this channel. It's going to have mentalism in it. It's going to have body languages in it. It's going to have monograph work in it. It's going to have psychology in it, um, intuition, so on and so forth. Everything that I have worked hard to accrue knowledge on over the years, I'm trying to pour into this book as much depth as I can. Which it's looking to be a very long book, so I might have to split it up. I don't know, but that's kind of what it's about. Let's see. What temperature generally there in the summer and winter? Ooh, the temperatures here in Montana in the summer and winter. Oh gosh. So this past summer, I think the high got up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is important, not Celsius. And then the lows will get down to, oh, what's the lowest that it got to last year? I think it was negative 27 degrees Fahrenheit once again. I don't know the conversion for that. But yeah. Let's see here. Oh, emotionally neglected childhood. What I think about it as opposed did I suffer from it. What I think about it is it's difficult. In just a second here. My wife's coming in. I'll hold that thought. I will be right back with my answer for that. Just a second. I'm back. Okay, sorry. Let's see here. Emotionally neglected childhood effects. There's a lot of developmental, I don't know, I don't want to put issues because it makes it sound like you've really got, like, difficult issues kind of thing. Which they are. They're, like, you have to work through some stuff, and there's some emotional connection issues that will develop from that. Um, and I'm a firm believer that people have the psychological ability to work through stuff. If it's a physical chemical thing, nothing, like, you can't really work through that. But if it's a psychological thing, you really have a lot more ability to push through. But yeah, there are some things, and there are some studies out there that I haven't read on, and that might be something that I'll touch on an observed videos after I study into it and learn about it. Then I could put something up on that. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question or not. Release date of your book. I don't know. I would like to give a release date, but right now, since I still have to work full time, honestly, a lot of stuff that's happening on Observe is also reliant on we as the Observe community growing enough to make it to where I can start doing Observe live, or not live, full time. Because once I could do that, then things that are like a side hobby are now going to be able to be a little bit more extensive and more of a prominent thing in my life. So I don't know a release date on the book at all. I I hope it's not too far out, but I don't know. I'm only 40 pages in, and I'm not even halfway through the first section. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's different writing a academic book. It's just a little different because it's not all just creativity. It's a lot of research. But yeah, let's see here. Do I speak any languages other than English? Unfortunately, no. I took German classes for a while, um, and I took some Spanish classes because I think everybody's taken a Spanish class somewhere in their life. I took a year of Greek, a year of Latin, and a year of Hebrew, um, and that's kind of where we're that, but not enough to be like fluent in any of them. Let's see here. Are you intuitive and have you had ESP experience? What do you think about it? So, am I intuitive? I think everybody's intuitive to an extent. I know that I am. Have I had any experiences with ESP? It's hard to say. That's something that I'm doing a study on now. So when I started the study, I did a video on it, and I scored something that said that I had no ESP experience. I've done the test again recently, and it says that I do have some, so that shows improvement, um, which which implies that you can train it to be stronger, which backs up what a lot of people are saying, is that intuition is a naturally born thing. Some are more tendent towards it, but everybody has the ability for it. But yeah, there's like a few things, and since I've been paying more attention to it, I've noticed more things that would be like qualified as coincidences or something like that. Let's see here. Do we sleep less and be more sharp-minded? It's a very bad idea to sleep less. We don't understand why we need sleep, but we do understand how much we need. And when we say that we need it, that's the average person needs, you know, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. 8 is kind of the sweet spot. There are some people that need far more than that, and there are some that only need half that. But it's important to sleep as much as your body needs to be able to refuel and to give your mind rest. If you don't sleep enough, it's not going to help your brain. It's not going to make it easier to think. It's not going to be good for you. It does genuinely harm you. Um, and I spent college basically getting 3 hours of sleep a night, which is not, it's just not good. And like my wife's dad, my father-in-law, he has spent many years getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and it's causing some pretty rough health issues. So, like, sleep is important. Never underestimate the power of sleep. Oh, welcome back again. Um, yeah, yeah. In case you didn't see, there's the one puppy is up there. Um, there's the two pups. Good boy, Roar. Peachy. Ha, there she is. So those are our two puppies. They're very sweet, very good puppies. Looks like we've only got about 8 people on here, and I've been on for a little bit, so I'm gonna take. Uh, I'll do 5 more questions, and then I'll be done. So Question number 1. What kind of dogs are they? I'll do 10 more questions. I'll be nice. Okay, so they're both rescue dogs. So when we got them from the kennel that they were at, they didn't know exactly what either of them are. Um, so the little one up there, she I think is a Lhasa Apso mixed with a Chinese crested puff. Um, and then the brown one down there, he is a long-haired dachshund mixed with something. We're not sure, and we don't want to spend the $80 that it takes to get a DNA test for a dog. Not right now, at least. Maybe someday. Maybe I'll make that into a video on my other channel or something like that. Did you fan of any? Sahil, I'm not sure what you mean. If am I a fan of any dogs specifically? If that's what you're saying, yes, I love corgis. Corgis are the cutest little things. Along with, I'd like a French bulldog. I'd really like a French bulldog. Um, and then Alaskan Malamutes are absolutely gorgeous. But I like just about all dogs. I can't do like yappers that just won't ever shut up. I can't do it. They bother me a lot. Um, oh, fan of any celebrity. Um, since this is still tied into your original question, I uh, I will answer this one too. Um, yes, Chris Hemsworth is probably my favorite actor, just because I don't know, closely competed with by Hugh Jackman. Yep, I like Robert Downey Jr.'s attitude on some things. He's cool, but yeah, I don't know. Not real big into the whole like, am I a fan of celebrity things? Like I like them, um, but I mean it's they're just doing their job as well, so not big into the fandom side of stuff. I've read about body language a lot, but the problem is that I can't interpret gestures correctly. Do I need more experience? Yeah, actually, everybody will always need more experience, but it is also difficult to interpret body language correctly, um, because body language is tied to psychology extremely closely. And in order to understand a person's body language 100% correctly, you have to have at least some grasp of general psychology, but also their personal psychology as well. Because something that might be terrifying for one person isn't terrifying for another person. Um, so, yeah, experience is helpful, but then also just trial and error and learning generalities of stuff. Like, most people in their 20s are going to be resentful of the economics in the world, um, because they feel like they have to work a lot, um, and don't get a lot of pay or something like that. To where then you could be like, okay, so they're in their 20s, so this might be what the situation is. So I'll keep my eye out for dot dot dot. So just experience and learning different age groups and their general psychological behavior, as well as being able to discover some personal stuff and that general psychological behavior as well. Can you increase your IQ? No idea. Not a clue. I don't even know what my IQ is. I don't know if it's high, low, in between, average, whatever. I don't know. And I don't put a lot of thought towards IQ, personally. But maybe. I don't know. I really don't actually know. What do you think the most important science that you should study to become a better deduction expert, i.e., psychology, human behavior? Most important one. It's going to be really, really hard to pin down a single most important study to go into, because it relies on all of them. But psychology is going to be high up there. Human behavior or social studies is going to be high up there. Criminal psychology is going to be high up there. communications will be. All of it is super important, honestly. There's not one that you that's why I'm not really gunning to go into colleges, because there's not really one that's going to be hugely helpful. Because for instance, like, it's huge to have a strong and competent medical knowledge and deduction, because that allows you to observe things like um, different physical malfunctions and um, various just medical things that you can look at to be able to tell something about somebody. And then also it's good to know psychologically, because then you can look at how somebody portrays themselves or acts in a certain way that gives it a state of mind. And it's good to know about, social studies in general. Like, everything is important. So unfortunately, there's not really one that's like your guaranteed way in, so to speak. And then I'll just do this one. Um, this last one, which I don't actually understand exactly what you're asking on this. Is the reasoning and aptitude really tell about your ability to deduce practically? I don't know what you're saying in that. So if you could reword that, maybe I can answer that, and then I'll wrap up with that question. Let's see here. Um, yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm trying to formulate the best way to say it. Those tests that they do before work, the reasoning and aptitude tests, or like personality, I don't know, whatever they call it. Um, are they really the ability? No, no, they're not. Throughout the years, I've discovered one thing about job interviews is that nobody really cares to find, like, there's so much more deceit in job interviews by both parties that it those tests, they don't really do anything beyond just like put out an average. Because for instance, say somebody who is just the laziest herd ever, doesn't ever want to work, doesn't ever want to move, doesn't like getting off the couch ever. Say they decided that they really wanted dot 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 job, for some weird reason. And the question asks, like, and what they'll do is they'll ask multiple questions this different ways. So like, instead of just asking, "Are you lazy?" it'll be like, "What do you do in your free time?" And then you answer, you know, or if here's a more actual way of doing it. In your free time, would you rather go outside, sit on the couch, go outside and go for a hike, sit on the couch and play video games, or go to the library and read a book? One of those. So you answer one of those. And then later on, it'll ask a similar question or the same question in a different way, and it'll be like, if you were to have a day that you didn't have to do anything, would you rather go for a walk, read a book, or watch TV? So it's a different question, but it's the same one. Um, so if this lazy person who would guaranteed not want to do anything all the time was like, I bet they're not going to want to hire somebody who's not going to want to do anything all the time, they could just answer, "Oh, I would definitely go out and go for a hike and go for a walk, things like that," and then they just lied through it, but they would end up getting the job because the personality type would line up. So no, I don't think it's I don't think it's a reliable way at all. I don't think interviews at all are reliable. Um, and I understand like they have to be done because they can weed out some people, but I think the only thing that can work is to actually hire the person and see how they work and stuff. Because for instance, I worked I work hard at my jobs, and almost all of them have been very social jobs, and I don't like being social. I am very introverted. I don't like being around people, but I work hard, and so I'll do it. So my personality type doesn't line up with the job that I have right now, but I work hard enough at the job to make it happen. So I don't know. I don't think those tests are worth it at all. But that being said, um, my wife's home, so I want to be able to spend some time with her. Um, and I was glad that I was able to kind of hang out on here for a little bit. It was nice to see some people on here and talk and hang out and just let you know that I haven't forgotten about Observe and that I'm still working for getting the community moving forward and getting some more content out for you. But I'm probably going to lay down here now and relax a little bit, maybe eat, because I haven't eaten today. But uh, if you're here and you got to hang out, I really do appreciate you hanging out. And I will see you again in either another video or another live stream, whichever one comes first. Um, and if you're wanting to be able to, this is me shamelessly plugging. Um, if you're wanting to be able to make it to where I don't have to go and work at a normal day job, then I could just dedicate more time to writing and to creating content and to um, meeting new experts in the field and getting them onto the channel for you and just making Observe into something a little bigger. Patreon's the way to be able to go about it right now because that's the only thing that's really happening, especially since YouTube's ad revenue is a little spotty here and there. But if you're new here, please subscribe. If you want to be able to make more things happen, head over to Patreon and you can help out there in whatever way you see fit. But thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll catch you in the next time around. So I'll see you around, guys.